Welcome. You are listening to Caregiving Secrets with Deborah Greenhut. If you are a family caregiver or expect to be one, and you want to maintain your well-being while caring, then you are in the right place. I am your host, Deborah Greenhut, speaker, author, and rational caregiver advocate. I'm a family caregiving veteran, bringing you survival secrets and experiences from experts who share the goal of doing less by managing more. We need to invent and reinvent family care, and together we're going to do it. My big idea is rational caregiving, and my motto is, let your brain lead your heart. Please share yours in the comments. Caregiving Secrets, because friends don't let friends be caregivers alone. Let's do this. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Caregiving Secret, where we explore strategies to help caregivers so they don't have to work solo. So today I'm really honored to have with me as my guest, a good friend, Jennifer Takagi, who has a lot of wonderful programs to make you more efficient and help you get through your life and your day. And I'm going to let her tell you all about those. And at first, I want to open up by saying, hello, Jennifer.
Hi, thanks for having me, Deborah.
It's great to have you here with me too. So, can you tell us a bit about yourself and perhaps your connection to caregiving as we get started?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I always say I'm the youngest of four, and so I should have been the baby taken care of, but I just kind of always ended up being the caregiver. And when I was 34, my mother woke up early in the morning to go to the bathroom and hit the floor. And she had suffered a massive stroke. It was the size of a grapefruit and wiped out the whole right side of her brain. And a stroke the size of a pinprick can kill you, and a huge one you can live with. So you never know. Every stroke is like a thumbprint. Like there are no two exactly the same. They're commonalities, but they're not identical. And so, what I considered a very young age of 34, because I wanted to be the baby for way longer than that. I ended up being one of the primary caregivers of my mom. My dad was there. Thank God he was amazing with her. And she lived 11 years, which is very long for a stroke like that. The last four, my dad was battling cancer. So we had both of them. And they died 12 days apart. And so we buried them on their what would have been their 57th anniversary the month after they died. But it's a lot to maintain a marriage, a career, and a life when you're so integrated with your family and helping. I have sisters, they were helpful too. Everybody thinks they did the most because that's how this works. But yeah, I got to do a bit of it.
Yeah, it often seems that way that everyone has that tunnel vision about their own contribution. And I think partly because, as you said, it is so big and hard to do. There's so much work, a team of people probably would not be enough. So I understand that. Now, I bet you could tell us quite a bit about self-care for the caregiver if you actually took the time to do it. So I'm wondering, how did you handle that situation, that part of it?
Yeah, my mom, I mean, like that was like out of the clear blue. Um, and just to throw out there, this is not my normal speaking tone. I had oral surgery last week, but I wanted to do this interview. So if you all catch me on my podcast or another time, I don't sound quite like this, not quite so much of a speech impediment, but I wanted to do it because I love Deborah. So I wanted to be here today. So my mom was in like ICU for the first 5 or 7 days. And I got up very early in the morning and went and met my dad at the hospital so that we could talk to the doctor because he made very early rounds. And my dad set an amazing example. He did not spend the night at the hospital when she was in ICU. He couldn't stay in the room anyway. They would kick him out like 8 o'clock at night, and he went home. He showered, he took care of the dog, he got a good night's sleep, and started over the next day. Many people think they have to be there and they can't leave, or they're somehow dishonoring the person. Well, we knew we had a long haul ahead, so you can't run yourself down in the first weeks. After that, she was in rehab for 3 weeks before we were able to bring her home. And dad was there all day. And I got off work and drove straight to the hospital. No, I did not. It's been a minute. I went straight home, had dinner with my husband because I had a husband. You got to like maintain relationships. And then I went to the hospital and I would stay from 7 till 10 or 10:30 every night. My dad would go home. He would take a shower. He would put on some more comfortable sweats, check on the dog, and then he would come back and spend the night during the night because she did need somebody there during the night. But he left every day for a while. And so that really was a clear, beautiful picture for me to witness that you have to leave. And when my mother died, we were at a hospice center, which to me, that's the only way to go. I didn't want them hauling them out after their death. So at the hospice center was beautiful. They took great care of my parents and us. And we got there and we're there till like 4 in the morning. And I went up to my husband and I said, I'm going home and going to bed. And he goes, You're leaving. And I said, My mom taught me you got to go to bed and get a good night's sleep. And it's already 4. It's too late. I got to go to bed. So I left and my sister stayed, my husband stayed, my brothers-in-law, everybody stayed. And I was like, nope, I'm going home. I'll bring breakfast. So I went to bed. So the next night, it was about 11 in the evening, and my mom was still alive, kind of surprisingly, but she was. And I met up with my husband in the hallway and I was like, hey, babe, just wanted to tell you I'm going home, going to bed. And he goes, what? I said, I'm going home, going to bed. And he goes, okay. So one of my sisters came up and said, my husband's going to go home and let the dogs out. And I said, great, I'll see you tomorrow. And she goes, what? I said, Vicky, mom raised us to sleep. Your earliest childhood memory is of the vacuum cleaner hitting the foot of the bed because she wanted a spotless house. We're sleepers. We're all really good sleepers. I'm going to bed. So everyone went home and got a really good night's sleep. And the next day, like, I don't know, 6:30 in the evening or so, the day after Thanksgiving, she passed away. And what I learned from that is sometimes they want you in the room when they go. And other times they will wait till you leave the room because they don't want you there. And one of the nurses was sharing this with me, and I said, I I think mom would want us there. And my oldest sister, she goes, oh my God, yes, she's not going to go without us all here. Well, I ended up being in the family room, and my middle sister Melissa was like, Jennifer, get down here, come. And I went running down the hall, and literally, as soon as my mom had her 3 girls in the room with her, she took her last breath because she wanted us all with her. But that was a hard, like, we took her to the hospice at noon on Wednesday, and she passed on Friday, 6:30 in the evening. And it was a long time. And I'm sure somebody out there is listening thinking, I would never have left. I would have stayed. I would have held her hand till the bitter end. What I said was, Mom, I love you dearly. You know I need to sleep. And if you think you have to run off and leave me while I'm home sleeping, I will forgive you. It will be all right. And I left. And I was fine with that. I would have been a little sad maybe if she had gone without me there. But at the same time, now you got a funeral. Now you got a house to sell. Now you have all the things. Now you've got a year worth of stuff to do. And if you burn that candle at both ends for 3 days, you're not going to be able to do it.
Those are such important lessons. When my parents passed away within two months of each other, I had a similar situation on my hands, although we didn't have quite hospice at the time, and my mother was just unexpectedly happened. And I tried to stay and stay and stay. So I wish I had had you as my teacher at the time, but I hope everyone who's listening carries that lesson away. You do have to go home and sleep. And there is plenty to do afterwards, unfortunately, or otherwise, but there's plenty of work to do after someone dies. It's not over,
No.
until it's over. So those are great takeaways from talking with you, Jennifer. And I'm wondering, because you are a bit of a healer now, you do take care of people in your business. Is that something that you draw from that early caregiving experience, or does that go even further back?
I was always kind of the caregiver, just in general. I never wanted to be a doctor or a nurse or a medical person. That was like, a little too much. And in January of 2020, I met a spiritual healer and I didn't know what that was. So of course I was immediately drawn to her. And I'm a Christian. I was born on a Monday. My first time in church was the next Sunday. I'm a diehard believer. You'll never impact my belief system into God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. But I think there's more out there, and I think God gives us gifts. And so I worked with this energy healer for about 7 months and then was introduced into other modalities. And so with those other modalities, I really am honored to say I have healed people and helped people physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And it gives me a whole lot of oh, what's that word? Give me a word, Deborah. Fulfillment. Like I'm very fulfilled. I love it. It lights me up. And I hear other energy healers say, "Oh, I can only have a few clients a day." It's like, "Oh, it's too much. They take all my energy." And I'm like, "Not me. I got a bubble around me and I give what I want and they don't take." And so that's a mindset. That's a choice. It's a decision. I was working with a trainer recently on a new modality called energetic magic, and it's literally shifting that story so that you just heal like quickly and easily because once the story is gone, you can heal, right? And I said I spoke to a woman and she was saying how people impact her so greatly, and then if she physically touches them, all of their energy fills her space. And I thought, well, that's a bunch of crap. I mean, it's true for her, but for me, that's a bunch of crap. Like, I'm not doing it. So it's very easy for me. It's very easy for me to have multiple clients in a day when I can talk better. It's a little easier. But that does not impact me. Like I give my gift, I help people and then, literally brush it off and I'm ready to move on to the next one. Every session stays with me in a positive way. Like I really get lit up doing the work. So it kind of all just goes together for me in a nice little package.
Do you think it replenishes you to have healed someone?
Oh my gosh, it does. Um, I'll just tell you about this one biggest one. I have numerous, but a friend of mine, quite a bit older than me, from water aerobics, had broken her hip and then she couldn't walk and she couldn't lift her leg. And the doctor said she was fine. There was no reason. And she was like, but I can't, without a walker or a cane, she couldn't walk because she couldn't lift that leg. So I did a lot of emotional healing on her for I don't know how many sessions we did, a lot. And we just kept getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And then I learned body code, which is creating balance in the physical, emotional, and spiritual body. And we did literally one session and identified a specific, and I'm not a medical person, people. I have a degree in French. Like this, I'm not a medical person at all. And she had an imbalance in her hip. And I had to Google, like, where's that muscle? What does it do? And the next day I called her and I said, I have this deep knowing, that intuition piece, that you're going to be able to walk. I don't know when, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I just know you will. And she goes, I was able to lift my foot off the floor 1 inch today, and I haven't been able to do that in 2 years. And when we looked back, it was 2 years to the day that she had had her hip replaced. So Did the doctors do anything wrong? Probably not. I'm a big proponent of modern medicine. You're never gonna don't take my prescriptions away from me. Like no. I had surgery, right? I had my knee replaced. I'm gonna do all the things. But now she can walk. And we did some more work. She had the other hip replaced. She breezed through that, different surgeon, but she breezed through that. But she wanted to heal. She was open to the modalities. And she was like, please, Jennifer, fix me on this. I was in an event and somebody was just crying and said, is there a cat in this house? And there was in the basement. And just poof, I cleared her cat allergies. And 3 months later, she sent me a picture with a kitten right in her face. And she goes, look what you did. Like I can hold a kitten. So I get a lot out of it. It lights me up. It thrills me. Um, we all have our journeys. We all have our paths. Not every outcome is what I want it to be. But death is part of our journey on life. So, as hard as that is and how tragic the grief is, nobody told me how bad grief was. And it is. But yeah, it all has just come together quite beautifully for me.
So that intuition, which serves you so well in your current line of work, did you find that you had that when you were caring for your mom as well?
I had it long before that. I just didn't have a name to it. I would say a prayer and it would be like, God, I want this. You're a little kid. And it wouldn't happen. And I'd be like, well, okay, that didn't work. And so then it would be, oh God, like my first one was I wanted to be hit by a bus so I didn't have to go to kindergarten. I don't even know that they had buses in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I lived at the time, but I wanted a bus to hit me so I would miss kindergarten.
Oh my.
I know, random and ridiculous. And then later it was like, oh, I want to be a cheerleader. God, let me be a cheerleader. But if I don't make it, show me why I'm glad. And then it would be cold. And I'd be like, yeah, that's why I'm not down there freezing my butt off. I got on a coat and mittens. Like, okay. So little things would happen. Um, I shared a story with a friend just last week, and I had a girlfriend in high school making a very terrible decision and my parents were out of town and we were at my house and I didn't know what to do. And finally, I just called her mom, bawling, and I was like, you have to do something. I can't control the situation. And her mom showed up and said, get your butt in the car. And she's had a great life. But it was one of those boyfriend, it's always about a boy or a girl, right? Um, but he was talking her into making a really bad decision, like drop out of school crap. I mean, like really bad. And my friend said, oh, you had intuition back then. Like you knew what to do to, interrupt what was happening. And I was like, ooh. So probably the biggest life altering situation. I woke up sick one day and I was coughing up a lung, had bronchitis. I was just terrible, but I was in my 30s. I needed to go to work, build a name for yourself, build your career. And a soft, gentle voice said, stay home, take care of yourself. Well, where did that come from? So that voice just kept repeating slowly and quietly and gently. And then a very harsh voice said, you need to go to work. You have this to do, this like named off my name to-do list. And I was like, crap. So finally I decided I'll call in and I'll go at noon. Like I'll stay home, I'll take a hot shower, maybe I'll feel better. I'll go in at noon. And 2 hours later, the whole house shook. And that was April 19th, 1995, the day that has become known as the day of the Oklahoma City bombing. And I worked in the Murrah Federal Building. The building sheared off about 3 feet south of my desk. Everybody I sat with was killed. My boss, his secretary, 35 from my office alone, much less I had worked there almost 7 years. I knew a lot of people in the building, right? Because you're riding on elevators, seeing them at lunch, whatever. And I knew as soon as I found out what happened, it was devastating. I mean, I cried for days. I don't know how many funerals I went to. It was
Awful.
horrible. But I knew I knew that was God telling me to stay home. And I feel very confident he was screaming at everybody else in the building, go someplace else, scatter, go somewhere. There were meetings off site, people were in and they were saved. There was a meeting all up in one room on the ninth floor. Everybody there was safe. So people were in very peculiar places because it could have been substantially worse. But you would think, oh, she's going to listen to her intuition now. But no, it took a while, right? Like on the really huge things, I recognized it.
Yeah.
Now I pay attention a little more closely and I pick it up more quickly than I did. It's a practice. You have to practice.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm sure that was a gripping story, so I don't want to just run right over it, but I'm thinking there's probably a light side and a dark side to intuition as well. You can be maybe too focused on fearing that something's going to happen if you listen too hard. And that's not the right vocabulary for it. But if you're focusing too much on what you think might happen, you might not pay attention to what's right in front of your face. So the focus has to be on the here and now and what we're doing and where we are. But I think that's a great lesson for caregivers. I think when you care for someone, you also often have an intuition of how things are getting worse or better. And sometimes the people around you, even the professionals, don't recognize it as soon as you do. So those are good things to carry away. So as we're coming to the end of our episode today, which I'm sad about because it was great to speak with you again today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon. Could you share a bit about how people can connect with you? We'll put some things in the show notes, but if there's anything you can say right now for those who are watching on YouTube, where to find you and what kinds of things they might connect over.
Yeah. So my free gift for your audience is 12minutegift.com, 12minutegift.com. And through a process of working with Jack Canfield and his book, The Success Principles, and his training, I have developed my own little methodology for breaking your big, awesome goals down into little bitty pieces that you can do. Because sometimes we don't accomplish what we need to because we're overwhelmed, and we're overwhelmed because we don't know where to start. And if you're caregiving for somebody, you're sitting there thinking, but I need to do the laundry and I need to cook dinner and I need to go to the grocery store and I don't know what to cook and I don't and I don't and I don't. But the bottom line is you do. You
That's
do.
fantastic. Yes. Now, may I ask you, is it 1, 2, or 12? The number 12 numerals or spelled out?
Yeah. The number one, number two.
Okay, thank you. For those of us who are not reading something might be helpful. So I thank you so much, Jennifer, for coming on board today. In spite of everything that you went through yesterday, you are a trooper, and we could tell you're a caregiver. So thank you for caring enough to be here with the audience again today. And I wish you well with the recovery from this and hope to see you very, very soon. So thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you for having me.
And everyone, please remember, caregiving is not a solo lifestyle. Make sure that you're share giving by finding other people to help you and accepting help when it comes. Thanks. Thank you for joining me today on the Share Giving Secret, How to Survive Family Caregiving. I love sharing these insights and stories to empower you on your caregiving journey. If today's conversation resonated with you, consider diving deeper by picking up a copy of my pamphlet, Non-Negotiables for Caregivers. It's filled with great strategies to help you think through how to maintain your well-being while caregiving. Nobody wants to become Carezilla, right? Visit sharegiving.net to get this resource that can help you navigate your caregiver path with grace and resilience. Let's continue to share our stories and support each other. Until next time, keep sharing, keep caring, and remember, you're not alone on this journey. Thank you.